So I'm currently behind the wheel of the 2025 Mazda CX-50 hybrid in the Premium Plus trim, and I'm going to take some time to go through the interior of this thing. But before I do, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So starting over on the left, like I normally do, you got your window switches, you've got your rear mirror adjust toggles right here. Up top, you got your door latch, your door locks, you got a nice driver grab handle. To the right of that, you've got a button to turn off the sensors around the vehicle, a traction control off button, a button that pops the fuel door. You have a button for the rear hatch, and then two buttons and the set button for the driver seating position. Then you have the gauge cluster. So on the left and right of the gauge cluster, you see a trip button right here, and over on the right, two buttons for the dim level of the gauge cluster. But the gauge cluster is basically two main analog circles. The right one has two gauges inside, one for the temps and the fuel gauge, whereas over on the left, instead of a standard tach, you kind of have more of a hybrid tach where it's just kind of the charge or you're in the power. The center is a digital gauge, and it can be cycled through different pieces of information, which I'll showcase in a moment. Over on the left and the right, there's also a little bit of digital information. So when I cycle through right here where it says EV, the different pages will tell you what you're on, as well as you have digital miles per gallon right there. Right now I have the center gauge set on kind of an information screen showcasing a compass, what direction I'm heading, northeast, fuel for the battery, or the fuel, I guess the level of the battery, and then the average miles per gallon. But I'm just going to cycle through some options. So this is kind of a more hybrid-y gauge, because it'll, just kind of showcase the miles per hour and not that standard speedometer. And the vehicle information in the center. Bring that standard gauge back, and then just cycle through again. So you can have off. You can see it's displayed right there. I've kind of been leaving on this screen. Moving back to the steering wheel, how I was adjusting the details on that center gauge is right here, this info button. But along with that info button, you have your talk phone buttons right here. You have a volume. This is basically like up and down twist knobs. Or tabs. Then you have tuners for whatever songs you're listening to, or radio stations. Over on the right is your cruise control options. Give you a better look at the steering wheel. Tucked down low behind the steering wheel is the engine start stop button. And then you have the navigation display. So since it's a hybrid vehicle, I've been kind of leaving it on the fuel efficiency screens, but I really like Mazda because they go with the kind of a simplistic menu. You basically get 5 main options, and then also a toggle option for your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, as you can see over on the right. But basically, up top, you have information, and that's kind of where I've kind of been living. So you have the fuel efficiency monitor, which is this page right here. And then the vehicle status monitor, which tells you when your next service, maintenance details, vehicle maintenance settings. Entertainment, whatever you're listening to. Communication, this is where your phone will be connected. I'm currently using my phone to record this, so I've kind of disconnected my phone from the vehicle. Navigation, showcasing, I don't want to agree to anything because it's not my vehicle, it's a press loaner, but this is where you'll get your maps. Settings, you can change everything. So you got in-vehicle displays, you can adjust sound settings, safety systems, vehicle settings, connectivity settings, ALEXA settings, system settings, you name it, you can pretty much change it. Coming down from there, you got all your HVAC controls. So it's all knobs and buttons, which I like. There are 3 levels of heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and the passenger. So you light them up, and then like so, for both driver and the passenger. And you can also turn it all off. Hazard button in the center, and whenever you turn, it'll kind of display digitally for the temperature, as well as the fan control and where you're basically pointing the temperature in the air. Coming down from there, you've got a smoker's plug hidden right here. Then you got a nice little tray. You put your phone here, anything like that. 2 cup holders. currently holding my gimbal, or the big gimbal base, I should say. Then you have your gear lever. So you have park, reverse, neutral, and drive. And then when you're in drive, you can knock it over and be in the sport mode where you can select your own gears. There are no paddles on the back of the steering wheel, so you have to select your own gears down here on the center console. To the left of that, you have the Mazda My Drive system, which is basically the drive modes of the vehicle. So when I was showcasing the gauge cluster, you can see it's in the power mode. But if I want to get into a normal mode, that kind of red color goes away. And then you also have a trail mode, which kind of brings it kind of like a sandy color. Now, the drive modes basically, they describe kind of what situations you need it. So normal, normal around town, that's basically how the vehicle boots up. Power gives you the full performance potential of the vehicle in terms of holding the gears. The full horsepower of the vehicle will be unlocked. There will be no sort of bog or anything like that. Hold the gears, rev range, everything. You're not gonna, unlock some sort of F1 horsepower boost or anything like that. Just the full capabilities of vehicles will be there. And the same with trail. Now, you're not gonna be climbing any sort of serious stuff in a CX-50. This is kind of where on a trail, it's gonna kind of adjust the traction control system to, a better situation where you can kind of get out of some sticky stuff. So don't put it in trail and go hop on a trail with some of the most serious off-road vehicles that are on the market now, because you're probably gonna have a bad time. But if you are camping somewhere and you just need to get to your campsite or get away from your campsite and you got some sticky weather, this is kind of the good mode to do that. To the right of the gear lever, you have an EV button. So pushing that, you can see EV mode was just enabled. Now, this is going to just use the battery energy that you've kind of earned or collected in the vehicle. Once you go over about 25 miles per hour is pretty much the industry standard. So let's just say 25 to 30 miles per hour. It's going to kind of kick you out of the EV mode because it's kind of designed to just utilize cruising around town, probably in your neighborhood. Once you enter your neighborhood, probably put this on to save some MPGs for the life of your vehicle. Push it, turn it off. In the center, you have your toggle for the infotainment display. So this is how I was adjusting everything up there, but you also have favorites buttons around it. So you have the navigation. This is a back button. A little music note gets you straight into whatever entertainment you're listening to. And this is the home button, which pops you to that 5 main option screen. Volume control over on the right. You have a favorites button as well. To the left, you have parking brake latch and the auto hold button. And that's when you can save your right foot if you're in any traffic situation. You push that, the vehicle will hold for you as if you're already holding the brake. You can stretch your right foot and kind of unenable that as well. You have your armrest right here. Opens in 2 pieces. There is a charging pad right here. I waited to open it so I can showcase it with the camera, but there's a charging pad right here. There's 2 USB-C plugs where my 2 fingers are. There you can probably put 3 cans of Coke deep. Just kind of putting them like this in here for storage. Going to the passenger side, got your glove box. There are Bose speakers sprinkled throughout the cabin. Give you a better look at the door. The seats, same style going to the rear. The front and the rear share a sunroof. All sunroof controls up top right here, as well as the sunglass holder. But that is pretty much the interior of the 2025 Mazda CX-50 hybrid in the Premium Plus trim. If you have some questions about any of the features, the buttons in the interior that I may not have gone in depth enough on, maybe you want to get more in depth on when you should use some of the My Drive modes, be sure to leave your questions in the comments below and I will answer them and point you in some direction. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.